Every spring, millions of farmers and gardeners perform the exact same exhausting ritual. We clear the land, rip open the topsoil, plant our seeds, harvest the crop, and let it all die, starting from scratch again. To understand the sheer scale of this cycle, look at global agriculture. Grains currently cover 70. They also had domestic draft animals, which made the back-breaking work of plowing up large areas physically possible. Humanity prioritized speed over stability. We traded permanent, self-sustaining ecosystems for a burst of quick calories, locking ourselves onto a 10,000-year treadmill of continuous extraction. But there is a biological alternative. Imagine planting a single seed today and returning to that exact same spot to harvest food from it for the next 20 years. These are perennial crops. Unlike an annual, a perennial is a plant that lives and produces for 3 or more years. They range from long-lived vegetables to woody shrubs and fruit trees. Transitioning to perennials offers a structural blueprint for a food system that builds soil over time rather than depleting it with every harvest. There is a catch. Perennial crops test your patience. If you plant one, you might not see a meaningful harvest for the first few years. An annual plant puts all its energy into rapid surface growth to reproduce before it dies. A perennial, on the other hand, spends its early life pushing its energy deep underground to build permanent infrastructure. Annual wheat has a shallow, fragile root base. Perennial grains grow 4 times the root mass. This dense network does 3 things: stores carbon deep underground, reaches deep water reserves, and anchors topsoil in place year-round. Once this hidden infrastructure is in place, the plant handles its own nutrient and water needs from deep within the earth, significantly reducing the labor required to keep it alive. Around year 3, you hit a tipping point. The underground network is fully established, and the plant shifts its energy outward, producing a reliable, low-maintenance yield. Asparagus and rhubarb are classic examples. Once their crowns are settled in the dirt, you can harvest thick stalks from them every single spring for up to 2 decades without ever replanting them. Other perennials have incredible mechanics for self-propagation. The Egyptian walking onion produces heavy little bulbils at the top of its stalk. When they get too heavy, the stalk falls over, plants the new bulbs in the dirt, and literally walks across the garden. Below the surface, root crops like sunchokes form dense, practically indestructible colonies, banking massive amounts of storable carbohydrates that you can dig up year after year. When you combine all these different types of long-lived plants into a single area, you create what's known as a food forest. A food forest stacks plants vertically, mimicking a wild ecosystem. Tall canopy trees shade a subcanopy and herbaceous layer, while root tubers share the soil below. Dense leaves block weeds, and diverse roots share nutrients, drastically reducing the need for chemical fertilizers. Utilizing vertical space transforms agriculture into a self-managing, compounding engine of calories that mimics a natural ecosystem. When you permanently retire the plow, the soil heals, complex fungal networks rebuild, and billions of beneficial microorganisms return to support the crops. Reversing global soil loss requires applying these perennial principles to staple grains that provide the vast majority of human calories. That is exactly why researchers have spent the last 2 decades developing kernza, a highly successful perennial cereal grain. As this diagram shows, scientists are crossing wild intermediate wheatgrass, which has extreme perennial persistence and deep roots, with annual durum wheat, which yields large, energy-dense seed heads. The resulting crop creates a hybrid that survives for years while producing commercial-scale harvests. The ultimate goal is applying this genetic science across the board, transforming the 70% of global croplands currently dominated by dying annuals into permanent, living ecosystems. For 10,000 years, farming meant destroying the earth to feed ourselves. We now have the biological science to step off that treadmill and let the planet heal while it continues to feed us year after year.